Welcome to another Friday episode of Hold the Mic, where facts matter more than feelings. Do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get into it. Welcome to this episode of Hold the Mic, where I should be fired for not changing the intro to Wednesdays.
Definitely not a Friday, baby. It's our first Wednesday.
I'm fired.
No, you're not fired. We got to fire the producer. That's what we got to fire.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Wednesdays, our very first Wednesday. Cheers,
Yeah,
my
man. Cheers to you. I don't usually get to see you in like 4 days. I'm not used to this.
This is what I look like on Wednesday light.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
hump days are the worst.
Ooh.
So, but with that said, we actually have a special guest for you today. He's coming fresh off of Piers Morgan's show, where he made them look stupid per usual, which isn't very difficult, but you know, we still applaud him anyway and give him his pats on the back. So I just wanted to welcome Brian Shapiro to the show.
Yes.
What's up, guys?
Of Pushing the Limits. So he's had me on his show a couple of times now, so I figured it was time for us to bring him on our show.
I got a bone to pick with you, B. You were talking mad smack about our show on your show. Wait a minute. There was some jokes that were made.
I don't remember what I said. What did
I was like, I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Go back and watch the episode, guys. All right, so I want everybody to watch. What's the number of the episode?
Pushing the limits, yeah.
This episode?
No, his episode.
I don't know. He does it
I
every
don't know,
day.
man. I do 5 shows a week.
Yeah,
I don't know
he
what
does them
show.
every day.
Guys, it was a show it was the last time Ryan was on the show. Check out the episode. Get back to us in the comments. It was a good episode.
I don't even remember what I talked about on my show today. So.
Oh,
It's
man.
like, I don't know what.
And
I don't
Ryan,
know what
I
you're
have to
talking
correct
about.
you. I'm not coming straight from the Piers Morgan show. I'm coming straight from my show. So this is my
Oh.
third show I've done today.
Wow.
There you go. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So
He never stops.
he's
The
on his
hustle's
third
real.
show. I'm over here just procrastinating. This is only my first for the day. But no, brother, thank you so much for coming on. We got so much going on right now, and we're really enjoying having all these guests come on. We had Marcus Flowers on last week, so if you didn't catch that one live, you can definitely go back and watch that. A lot of good information. He was a little spun up along with me. He's a fellow veteran. He's actually a combat vet, so it was really a nice perspective to get from him of what's going on right now and debunking some of the misinformation that's been coming out. So definitely go check that episode out. Yeah, it was a good episode. So thanks again to Marcus Flowers and his team for giving us an hour of his time. It was much appreciated, and hope to see him back. But with that, you got anything before we start, brother?
No, man. Welcome to Wednesdays, man. We're here on Hump Day. This is our first. It hurts.
He's excited.
Let me tell you.
He's
It
excited.
hurts. Good
So,
time.
but man, I mean, there's so much, and we want to try to pack it into like an hour or so. So let's go ahead and get into it, man.
Yeah.
Have y'all noticed that we have a president and vice president who wear more makeup than MAGA women?
Bro,
Can we start with that?
I've already said this. I have a full understanding why conservative men chase liberal women. Because their women dress and look just like their president. Okay. They share the same foundation. That shit is wild to me. But it is what it is.
He does wake up wearing 8 layers of orange makeup he puts on in the morning in his girdle with his hair transplants and his fake teeth. And he does look ridiculous. Have you seen what he looks like on the golf course? What the slob looks like on the golf course?
It's bad.
It's bad.
I wonder what
It's
the
bad.
pillowcase looks like. Because Melania ain't sleeping in that bed. It's
Can
just
I ask you guys a
orange-
question? Speaking of that, who do you think is a better chance of sleeping in Donald Trump's bed with him, Elon Musk or Melania Trump? This is a serious question.
Oh, Elon.
JD Vance at the foot of it.
No,
That's
JD Vance. I think JD Vance would be the fluffer in between both of them, but
Oh,
On the
man,
couch with a couch on a
He
couch.
holds the balls. That's what JD does. He holds the balls.
hold up for you. Hold up for you.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like running in the ball
No,
in the
that was
alley.
Lauren Boebert last night. Did you
That
see
was-
that little?
Speaking of, congratulations to Kid Rock for leaving his
Yes.
fiance of 7 years for Lauren Boebert.
Yeah,
I wonder if they met. I wonder if they met at a Beetlejuice concert. I
They're
wonder.
they're the
Oh my
perfect trail and
God.
trash couple.
They really are.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really. He's like, you know what? That's going to be perfect.
It's like, how do we
That's gonna
race
be
to the
perfect
bottom?
for my brand.
Let's get together for 2025. That was not on my bingo
He
card.
went from Pamela Anderson to Lauren Boebert.
Well, I mean, look at my man's looks. It's the natural decline. You know, it's all there.
He
It's all
looks like
there.
he smokes meth,
Yeah.
like daily.
Yeah.
But that's my personal
Yeah.
opinion.
Oh yeah.
Lauren Boebert looks like she pleasures men in public at Beetlejuice plays.
This is.
I mean, that's more factual than fantasy, but
Sounds like
oh
we're
my God.
reading the cliff notes because that's oh God, just her.
Oh, well, getting back to reality here for a second. Why do veterans support this makeup wearing clown? So if you haven't been paying attention today, some documents leaked that it's being floated that Donald Trump wants to cut over 80,000 jobs from the VA. So again, as a veteran, that just spun me up as soon as I woke up, because that was one of the first things I saw.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that?
Sounds like it's right on brand. I'm sorry. Like this, the farmers, everybody, you're not part of the revolution. If you don't have 8 zeros behind your in your bank account, he's not rooting for you. You know, this is like the same thing when you see this with the Nebraska farmers. Everybody's coming on to this social media out there into into the matrix, and they're screaming for help. I can't believe this happened to me. I was okay with it when it was happening to you and to them and DEI, because we know that's coded language for something. But not me. I didn't vote for me to hurt myself, and it's just like, what do you expect?
So, question: can you swear on this show?
Fuck
we're trying. Yeah, we're trying to keep it to a little bit of a minimum, because we are going on TikTok
make
right
it
now.
Count, B. Make it count.
I was just gonna say, fuck around and find out. For all these veterans out there, who I'm used to doing radio, so I had to ask. But fuck around and find out. For all these veterans out there, and I respect your service, but if you voted for Donald Trump and you might be one of those people that lost your job, I hate to say it like this because I don't root for it, but you deserve it. Same thing with families that have had possibly undocumented immigrants in their family that are not violent criminals. And then they're like, oh, wait, we didn't expect Donald Trump to deport members of our family because they're not violent. Well, fuck around and find out. There's plenty of people throughout the country that have voted for Donald Trump that are going to be getting buyer's remorse very quickly. We see these Republican town halls all across the country. We see what's happening. And there's
Wait a minute, B.
Really
Wait a minute. I heard those are paid demonstrators.
Yeah, just like Antifa was responsible for January 6th. Those are the same people that are saying that. But
legend has it they're still out there.
But listen, we're all decent people here. I want to feel for these people, but then there's a part of me that's like, you deserve it because you're an idiot. You voted for Donald Trump. What did you think he was going to do? You think he's out for people like you? No, he's out for the billionaires. He's out for his friends at Mar-a-Lago. So I feel for them, but a part of me doesn't.
And where I ended up on that, because I'm like that. I'm a very compassionate person. I feel for other people. But where I ended up on that was they don't show us any empathy. So why should we show them any? It really is, like Ian just said, and like you're saying, it's they were fine when it was other people. But the minute it started happening to them, now it's different. Okay, so you had no empathy for other people, for other Americans. But the minute it happened to you or your family, now all of a sudden you want attention and you want to bring attention to this issue.
Ryan, this is the entire Republican Party.
Exactly.
Remember the Cheneys? They were anti-gay marriage until they realized there was somebody gay in their family.
Right.
Until it happens to you, is the Republican Party. And I have my gripes with the Democrat Party today as well. But one thing I will say about them is they are more compassionate as a whole, as a party for everyday hardworking Americans. And, for the Republican Party, until it happens to you. And then there are a lot of sick people within the party. Scalise, he was shot at, almost died, still doesn't want to do anything when it comes to gun control. But he was against mask wearing and stem cell research until he had to wear a mask. And stem cell research helped save his life. So, we can go down the line of the hypocrisy here, but these are very sick people until it happens to you. So I don't feel very bad for these people. I don't.
It's on brand. It's completely on brand for the Republican Party.
And I'm also really glad you used that word, hypocrisy, because they like to twist our words and twist our positions into things they're not. It's like, oh, you're against standing up for Lake and Riley at the thing, and it's like, no, I'm just not playing into your political propaganda.
Right. It's interesting you mentioned Lincoln Riley, because I was talking about this earlier today. Okay, they bring Lincoln Riley. It's a terrible crime. We all can agree it's horrible. I feel for the family. It's terrible. I don't want anybody to go through this. But why don't they talk about any of the victims under the Trump administration that were victims of crimes, even almost exactly eerie and similar to what happened to Lincoln Riley? But Trump never talks about those people. He didn't invite any Capitol police officers that were injured on January 6th last night. He didn't invite anybody that was injured or a family of someone who lost a loved one when he was in office. He talked about the police officer. He went to that police officer's wake who was murdered. Terrible situation. Cops were murdered under Donald Trump as well, but he didn't go to any of those wakes. But he decides to go to one officer's wake.
What made him so special from all the other ones?
Very simple. It happened under Joe Biden. That's
Thank
it.
you.
That's the only reason.
At a time where he needed the political capital.
Yeah,
Let me ask both of you, what did he do with the guy who got capped as Trump got shot at his rally? The dude who was a fireman who got shot in the head protecting his family in the behind him. He didn't go to any of that funeral.
No, he didn't. And listen, the guy, God rest his soul, I appreciate his service as a firefighter, was a right-wing lunatic and a racist, but he didn't deserve that to happen to him.
No.
What I don't like are the far right. Oh, well, God saved Donald Trump. Oh, okay. Yeah. But God decided to, let's get rid of the firefighter. Right. So they're morons for doing that. And
then the family still simped for him, too.
Yeah. Well, listen, the guy didn't deserve that to happen to him. I feel for his family. He was not, I'm sorry, I respect him as a firefighter, but if you looked at his social media stuff, he was a blatant racist.
And he was a piece of garbage.
Yeah, so I feel for his family. I don't really feel for him. I feel for his family. You know, they didn't deserve to see that. But, you know, how can you really feel empathy for just awful people? Racist, bigots, attacking the gay community, the trans community, minorities. This guy was your typical middle-aged white Donald Trump supporter. That's who he is. That's
mediocre.
Who he was.
Very mediocre.
But
at the same time, Trump did nothing for this man. You know, he didn't show up for his.
Well, he petted his outfit at the Republican National Convention speech. Did you see that? That was really bizarre. But no, you're right. You're right. He didn't go to that funeral. He didn't go to that. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you're in law enforcement and you, one, support the felon, the convicted felon, the prolific business fraud, the adjudicated rapist, and the accused pedophile, or, God, I forgot where I'm going. I'm so pissed off right now.
Yeah.
Bottom line, if you're in fucking law enforcement and you were appointed by the felon and the rapist, I don't really give a fuck what you had to say. That goes to Kash Patel. That goes to Dan Bongino, who I know he won't hear this because he blocked me along with most of Trump's cabinet.
Don't worry, he's in the FBI. He has you tapped. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's listening. He's listening.
If he was listening, he'd be here already. So the fact is that we have law enforcement that are literally working for and appointed by a literal felon and rapist. So how do you expect the American people to have any kind of faith in our government, the people governing, the Republican Party, MAGA, Trump, Musk, any of them? Yeah. There's no oversight. By the way, can't wait for the freaking lawsuit now that Donald Trump stood in front of the American people and said, yeah, Elon Musk is running Doge. Like, you guys, everything is happening in front of us. And then when you have people like Ian and Brian and myself and so many others using their platforms and their microphones to try to give you information and tell you, if you haven't noticed, we're not trying to start a cult here. Like, we literally show you videos and we use facts. We tell you, please go fact check us. Anything that we say on this show, go fact check us. Don't just take my freaking word for it. And you want to know why we say that? Because we don't want these followers that just listen to whatever we have to say. We want you to make decisions for yourself. We want you to take this information and vote informed. We want you to go find people that you care about and run with them, help them, donate for them, knock on doors, use your social media platform to campaign for them. I don't care what you have to do. But if we sit back at, like, we aren't even 2 months in. We're not even 2 months in. We still got 15 more days to be to 2 months. Like, if we sit back and we wait for 2 years, forget 4. If we wait for 2 years to actually do something, we're going to have to physically drag these people out. And I wish this was hyperbole or I was exaggerating, but I'm not. We're going to have to drag these people out of our White House and our government. He has literally appointed nothing but loyalists who, next time it comes time for him to leave office and he says he doesn't want to, they're all going to do exactly what he asked them to do. So like I've been telling you all, if you haven't armed yourselves, you better go out and do it now.
Yeah, I agree. It's well said. I had a guy call into my radio show today who He literally said that he thought one of the reasons why Trump won is because I yelled too much, and I yell on my show too much. He said something like that. And then I asked him, I said, what do you think about pedophiles? Do you think pedophiles are bad people? He said, yeah. I said, then how would you describe a 55-year-old man that walks into a teenage locker room of a beauty pageant and sexually goes in there? On the Howard Stern show, he said he did it for sexual reasons. He did it because he wanted to see
video of it.
So I said, well, how would you describe a 55-year-old that wants to look at a bunch of 15-year-old girls naked? Is that a pedophile? He says, yes. Then I said, you voted for a pedophile. Yep. And he was in denial. He admitted that that's the behavior of a pedophile. So it bothers them when people like us raise our voice. That's angersome to them, but they have no problem with a man who they would vote for who wants to look at a bunch of teenage girls naked without permission. I mean, that's the point I made with him. I put that call up on my YouTube page today. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And again, we've got court documents. Like, I don't just spout what I say without backing it up with some type of receipt. So that's why I always use my words very carefully. Adjudicated rapist, accused pedo, because that's what he is. Was he convicted? No. Was it withdrawn? Yes. Seeing what we've seen, was it very possible that it was what she said, that they were all getting threats? Absolutely. But I get threats on a daily basis.
So do I, but he wasn't convicted of the pedophile stuff, but he admitted to it on the Howard Stern show.
Yes, he did.
And there were multiple women, they're now women, they were teenagers back then, they were young girls back then, have also corroborated the fact that he went into a female locker room for sexual reasons with a bunch of 14 and 15-year-old girls. Yet these are the same people that have a problem with transgenders going into bathrooms. But yet
sending male cops in there to verify.
Exactly, but they have no. Well, I think they should do that with Nancy Mace. I think they should verify her. But there should be a cup check every. I'm serious, guys. There should be a cup check every single time Nancy Mace goes into a woman's restroom.
Here's what I'm waiting for, though. Here's what I'm waiting for, B. This is what I'm waiting for with Nancy Mace. I'm waiting for the biggest burly man to walk into the women's bathroom and
Marjorie
her get
Taylor
upset.
Greene?
No, that's Butch. I didn't say Butch. Burly. I want the biggest biker-looking dude to walk in there, and Nancy Mace gets scared. And I mean, I'm not wishing any ill will towards her, but I want her to understand that that's a woman that has transitioned. And now you're saying that we have to use the bathrooms we have to use. Well, this is how this woman looks now because they've transitioned to a man.
She couldn't handle a handshake. Can you imagine
you know what I mean?
how she'd handle that?
So when you let it sit in, when they create the bullshit that's their own now, and then it's like this individual is going to walk in. I want that big biker to walk in and be like, excuse me. And it'd be like, this is the bathroom I'm supposed to use.
Guys, help me out here. When we go into a bathroom, do we look around to see, oh boy, I hope that's not a transgender? Oh boy. No, we go into a restroom, we do our business, and we leave. And you know what? Most women do the same thing. They're not looking around. Oh my God.
They don't have the stand-up stall. Like, they all have stalls. They all have.
But here's the fact base, right? There's no evidence to prove that if you're transgender, you're more likely to commit a crime in a restroom, right?
No, none at all.
There's no evidence to prove that. That's how stupid these people are. They're stupid.
It only explains that they have no friends. The only one is Bruce Jenner, and apparently he voted for this. So it is what it is.
Nancy Mace is a disgrace. As you said, Ryan, she wears that arm sling after getting her hand shaken by another man, and she's a disgraceful human being. She's not a lawmaker. She's a noisemaker. Right. Just like many of these others in the far right Republican Party, they're not lawmakers. And Donald Trump isn't a lawmaker either. No. It's sad. And
nor a businessman.
Right, exactly. A supposed businessman. So it's
we're apparently going to be his 7th bankruptcy. So let's see how this goes.
Yeah, what a great businessman. Guys, I live in Vegas. It's really hard to bankrupt a casino. It's really hard. You have to try really hard at it. How his casinos have filed for bankruptcy, I don't know, but they have. But yeah, he's a great businessman with his fake steaks and his water company and his Trump University. I mean, it's just people that say he's a good businessman are people that have a very low IQ, I would say.
Well, and I just want to reiterate, because I love bringing this up. When I say business fraud, when I list off all the things that Donald Trump is, you mentioned Trump University. They had to pay $25 million settlement for that one. But I always like to bring up the one, it was either 1992 or 1994, but his dad sent a couple of lawyers into, I think it was the Taj Mahal at the time, and he had a $3.1 million balloon payment coming up on a loan, and he didn't have the money for it. So his dad sent in a couple of lawyers with about $3.1 million in cash to buy up $3.1 million worth of chips, only to walk out and never use the chips in the casino, which is a loan, basically. So yeah, they got caught with that one in '94. And did they go to jail? Did anything happen to them?
No.
They got a $30,000 slap on the wrist.
Yep.
So, again, time and time again, this man has gone into the system and been found guilty or had to pay settlements, and he still comes out the other side a viable candidate.
Because
and
people
that
like
is
Pam
the part
Bundy,
that I will never fucking understand.
Yeah. People like Pam Bundy have protected him throughout all of this. Throughout all of it. Was it his school, the university, where he paid a $25,000 check to her, and then she dropped the case?
I don't know. I think I heard some about that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What I do know is that Pam Bondi, like many others in his administration, have been wearing the Donald Trump knee pads for a very long time. They're Trump apologists. They won't even answer a direct question like who won a free and fair election in 2020. Kash Patel is another imbecile. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who now all of a sudden is saying, oh, okay, I guess it's okay to take vaccines now since we have this measles outbreak. You fucking idiot. You fucking moron. I mean, it just...
I think that measles outbreak is a little worse than they're like, you need to get ahead of this. Need to get it. We have enough shit on our plate. You need to get ahead of this.
Oh, but try this oil. There's always a caveat with that. You can take the vaccine. I'm not even kidding. He really said that.
I know.
He really said that. The vaccines, I guess, are okay, but try this oil. This oil might work, and it's being sold by a family member of mine. Try this oil. Sleep on a Mike Lindell pillow. That might work.
It really is. It really is insane to witness just how insane 77 plus million Americans are.
But that's it. Literally, if you do the math, that's only like a quarter of America. It's not that many people.
But wait a second. The right wing will say it's a mandate. I got this today on Piers Morgan. It's a mandate. Really? It was one of the closest elections we've ever had in the history of this country. He won by about 1.4% of the popular vote, about 300,000 votes separating all the swing states. But somehow they say it's a mandate because he got less than half the vote. So was it a mandate when Joe Biden won? Was it a mandate when Barack Obama won? I never heard that statement from them then.
No.
I mean,
can we touch on another thing? What is an illegal protest?
January 6th. That's the perfect. Physical violence, destruction of property, threats. Obviously, you can't threaten people. But here's the thing with the MAGA Republicans, right? It's only a bad protest, or it's only not freedom of speech if we don't like what you're saying.
There you go.
Freedom of speech if we agree with you. But if we don't agree with what you're saying, then we're going to censor you. I mean, we use the term hypocrite all the time. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world.
For sure. So we've talked about some of the we've talked about some of the ridiculous people we have in government, but we actually have a couple of amazing people that I hope we get to see climb the ranks very quickly, especially in the Democratic Party. And one video that I saw today that I want to share is from one of my personal favorites, and I think both you gentlemen will agree, Miss Jasmine Crockett from Texas. So let's just have a little look at this.
To touch on something, because I know that many of you prepared for today's hearing by making sure that you got a little bit of information about immigrants and crime in your cities. Let me ask each of the mayors, just yes or no. Have any of you been made aware of any immigrant that has had 34 felony convictions that has still been able to roam around in your cities? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
34 felony convictions.
No,
from the immigrants. Anybody?
I'm not aware.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm just curious because we are so concerned about crime, and I know that my Republican colleagues would never want anybody with 34 felony convictions roaming around because that could be a danger to the community. But I will move on.
I love JC.
Dude,
I love JC.
she is
Spot on.
everything that we need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's-
we keep talking about this party needing to be able to kick them in the teeth, and she's
Yeah.
doing exactly that.
And she's doing it smart wise. It's not her screaming in the streets. It's not her trying to look for chasing clout, anything. She's like, no,
Right.
I'm going to bring this right here, put it on record. We'll have it on the mic. I'll get a clip out of it. And let's just keep it moving.
Yeah.
She's not, you know what's living rent free in my head is that Zelensky quote. And it's always her that I think about, because what he said to both JD and Trump, he says, you're raising the volume of your voice, but not the logic of your argument. That shit lives rent free in my head.
Yeah.
And I think about that because you look at the Marjorie Taylor Greens and all those on the right, Boebert, and it's like they're loud, they're brash, they're all this Nancy Mace, they're loud. But you look at Jasmine, she's just really, she's cutting right through the noise, and she's going right to the point.
I think too, of course I'm just, guessing and projecting my own bullshit, but I just, watching my wife, I know black women have to work harder to get to where they are. It's just a fact. And I think because of that, it has given her a special tool to use that a lot of other elected officials just don't have.
Right.
She has that built into her because that's her life. She's lived that. So
And yet they
these
would claim
people,
DEI on her.
right.
They
But
would
you
claim-
think you're going to get under that woman's skin?
No.
You may get her spun up because she's passionate and she gives a shit.
Right.
But, you think she's going to go home and cry on her pillow because of something that these Republicans said to her?
No.
She
No.
was one of the few Democrats that left the speech last night in the middle of the speech. I give her credit for doing that. She's a strong voice. She's very intelligent. She's very educated. But I think her best quality, in my opinion, is she's willing to fight fire with fire. She
Yes.
doesn't put up with the bullshit. She stands up to the MAGA Republicans. Listen, an Eric Swalwell maybe. There are several others. Golden. There are several others out there, but we need more Jasmine Crockett's out
Right.
there. You have
For
to
sure.
fight fire with fire. And listen, I respect Michelle Obama when she said, "When they go low, we go high." That might have worked 10 years ago. It does
That's not
work
Michelle
today.
now. That's not
Yeah,
Michelle
that's not
now.
Michelle now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't work today, and I think she knows that.
Yeah.
She said it.
And Crockett is a rising star within the party, and I do appreciate her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, everybody, Michelle Obama has come out herself and said that does not work. She explained it very eloquently.
Yeah.
The reason that was their mantra was because they were the first black everything in terms of our government. They were the first black family. He was the first black president. She was the first black first lady. Like, they had to be perfect every day. Like we're all talking about. Look at what Donald Trump says on a daily basis. Now go back 10, 15 years and remember the tan suit. Like, that was an insane day, was the tan suit.
Right.
That was the
biggest-
best they had against that man.
Yeah.
Like,
That was a big debacle on the Obama administration as one of his biggest scandals.
they
And
had
that
to be
tan
above
suit-
reproach. It
and
was
that,
it was a
that
necessity.
tan suit was just like Reagan, so it doesn't even matter. Reagan had it, and they even pointed that out. But it's a perfect example. I'm glad you brought it up. We have to be like Obama to get to that level, and yet Trump can skate by with everything.
Yeah.
And when you look at how mediocre he is as a businessman, as a father, just in general, as a person, you're talking bottom of the barrel. And yet you look at what's now following the Pete Hegseths, this Kash Patel. All these people are not the top tier of their industry. They are only in their position because they are pretty much the DEI of what's left of the Republican Party. This is what is the reality that they're really trying to implement into the system. To listen to Pete Hegseth talk, I'm really bashing my head against the wall where I'm like, this person is completely unqualified for the position.
Oh,
But he is in there
entirely.
because he's checking all the boxes for what this administration
He's
is.
a loyalist.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like I've been screaming for a while now, you have Tulsi Gabbard heading up our intelligence.
Yeah.
That's freaking terrifying. You have Pete Hegseth leading up our DOD. That's fucking insane. And you've got Kash Patel heading up the FBI.
Yeah.
Like you literally have extreme loyalists and extremists in these positions. And that's honestly what terrifies me. I think Donald Trump is a fucking clown. I think he's a moron. I think he's a puppet. I think he is literally just the MAGA vessel being controlled by all the few billionaires around him.
Right.
Which is why he's, doing everything he's doing. Going back to the VA thing that I said, the first talking point, he's getting rid of 80,000+ VA employees because he wants to privatize everything. Right. So let me break it down for you Americans in a way that maybe you'll understand. When I say he wants to privatize everything, what I mean is he wants to completely implode the VA medical system and the VA, the whole system, so that what we already have, what's called a choice program, I think that's what it's still called, but it allows us to say, oh, you guys are busy here in the VA? Well, can you just give me a referral to somebody out in the community that I can go see? And they're like, sure, no problem. We'll write you a referral. So that's already a thing. What Donald Trump wants to do now is he wants to completely tank the VA altogether so that the federal government doesn't have to float the VA anymore. And he wants to privatize it, meaning that we'll all be sent out into the community now. Now, you might be asking yourself, why should I care about that? Why does that matter? How does that affect veterans? It affects veterans this way, because now all these billionaires who own these hospitals, these companies, and all that shit in medical, now they're going to be making money off of us. They're going to be making money off of our trauma. They're going to be making money off of our injuries. They're going to be making money off our diseases. And if you don't think that that's fucking twisted and sick, then I don't know what to tell you, because everybody that served this country and gave you your right to vote for a felon and a fraud and a rapist are about to get screwed. So don't sit there and tell me you give a fuck about veterans and the soldiers and the VA. No, you don't. Because if you did, you'd be freaking marching in Washington, D.C. right now and demanding that man be removed from office. But since he owns law enforcement and the military now, pretty sure we won't be seeing that happen.
Yeah.
It's really eye-opening to think about where the Republicans swear that they are for the troops. And I really wonder at what point does that truce that they have, that element where they're just screaming from the top of the mountaintops that they are for the troops, because we know that once they retire, become vets, they don't care. And this is such a blatant attack on that trust. Yeah. Because you've given your body, you've given your mind, you've given your time to serve this country, and then it's like you come back, and it's almost, it's through history. When you looked at what happened to the black soldiers with the GI Bill when that happened, it's like you've done all this for us, but now that's it. We don't give a fuck.
They don't care about the troops, because if they did, they wouldn't have put in place a draft dodging coward who calls them suckers and losers and says, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured. They don't care about women and women's safety. They claim they do when they talk about transgenders, but then if a woman gets raped or is the victim of incest, they think it's okay for them to have to drive 8 hours to another state to have an abortion. So
they don't think that's okay. They want to press charges.
Yeah,
they want her to carry to term.
Right?
They want her to carry to term.
Exactly. Making my point, it makes it even worse. So, they don't care about women and women's rights. They certainly don't care about our troops. There's no question about that. They're not pro-life. They're just anti-abortion.
Right.
And they're hypocrites. I use that term almost every day when it comes to these MAGA Republicans. And, the proof is in the pudding. If you care about our troops, then you don't have a guy like this taking down General Milley frames in the White House and replacing it with Donald Trump's mugshot.
This is going to be my question for you guys. When that call comes in and someone has to give Trump the bad news, which one of the loyalists is going to do it? Which one's going to be the messenger that dies on that hill, who goes against whatever Trump says? And the reality is, I already know the answer is going to be no one, because they're all afraid. They're all afraid to tell him the truth. So this is the part that becomes more dangerous. Trump is surrounded by yes men, which we all know is not a healthy situation to be in when you need to make the right call. You need to have pushback from your generals. You need to have pushback from your team. If it is going to be an actual true democracy where you're like, okay, this is what I need. I need all the real information in front of me so we can make the call, because you literally have a party that's telling you that these town halls are protesters. You're not even listening to your actual constituents. You had the New York fire department sitting here talking about, you're taking away our 9/11 rights. We gave everything to you. What happened to this never forget? And now we have to be here in front of you again. If you have not seen that footage, it is insane where he tells everybody to step forward. He goes, this is what cancer looks like. These people are dying. This is what death looks like. And he goes, I don't want to be here in front of any of you anymore. I want my benefits. And matter of fact, I'm not asking, I'm demanding it. And you're like, wow. Wow.
Well, I mean,
we're dropping the ball even on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're dropping the ball on everybody, you know, and I never thought that I would ever feel comfortable publicly coming out and saying this as a veteran. But if you're an American right now and you're 17, 18, don't sign up.
Yeah.
Don't sign up. It is not the same military that I served in. It's not the same military your parents served in. It ain't the same military your grandparents served in. And when you have leadership like this, you do not want to be in the armed services being put in positions to make decisions where other people's lives matter, knowing that if you do the right thing, you're going to be punished. You do not want to be put in that position. But more importantly, they are trying to screw veterans that are already getting benefits. They're literally trying to remove benefits from people that have already been guaranteed it. Now imagine what they're going to do to new troops. They are trying to find ways to make it so that they don't have to pay the legacy costs for our soldiers that they do now. So that's what they're trying to implement. And they're going to sell you a bunch of, I mean, they sold it to us, but they at least took decent care of us.
Right.
They don't want to do that in the future. So as much as I hate to say this, because it weakens our country, weakens our defenses, it weakens our military, but don't serve. Don't give your life to this country, because if anything, you're seeing how they treat you. Like, you are a number to them. When they give you that dog tag, like your social security number on there, that's the number. That's the number you are to them. They don't know your name. They don't know what you did for this country, and they really don't care. All they know is that they got to go tell your parents that you aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
And then they're going to say, who's the next guy up?
Right.
Because that's how it goes. So I just need people to realize the situation that we're in. Like, we can all sit here, crack jokes. We can sit here and trash the other side and call, which we should. We should call them out for all their bullshit. We should absolutely drag them. I'm not saying we shouldn't. But we also need to keep driving this very serious message home. And I'm going to say the same thing that one of the congresswomen said last night, holding up a sign. This is not normal.
You're right.
And then that right-wing douchebag grabbed it out of her hand.
Yeah, exactly. This is not normal.
But that photo is perfect.
Talking
right
about,
there, and she has that. That's a perfect photo.
Rep. Al Green being escorted out of the chambers is not normal.
Yeah.
We didn't escort Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz or any of those people out when they had their props and were standing there screaming and pointing and interrupting.
Right. Well, it's because we weren't in a dictatorship back then. It wasn't an oligarchy. This is definitely a dictatorship now, and you have to kiss the ring of Donald Trump if you're a Republican, or you're outed from the party. But you turn into a Mitt Romney or a Liz Cheney. He's got a strong arm on the entire Republican Party.
But he wouldn't if the whole Republican Party looked at him and said, "Oh, you're going to fuck her over? Oh, no, we're not doing that."
But they got to find a spine for that. That's why it's a cult.
They have no spine.
It's a cult. There's no way they all drank the Kool-Aid. There's no coming back.
There's 2 or 5 or 10 of them. There's fucking millions of us. If we all told them to fuck off, they wouldn't have a choice.
They would get up and walk away from their town hall like they're being told. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. They are literally hiding from their constituents, Ryan.
Sure.
Hiding.
So that's exactly what they're doing. Because the constituents are showing up. And thank you for saying that, both of you. If you think that getting on social media and posting your shit and making your videos saying why you're upset and why it's affecting you and why you're pissed off, if you think it's not working, look, because it is. It's working, because they're going and hiding in their freaking holes because they don't want to face you. They don't want to look you in the eyes and tell you and answer your questions of why are you doing this? Why are you allowing this man to gut our government? Why are you allowing a billionaire who has no official job title that has no oversight, no security clearance? Why are you allowing him to go into the Department of Defense's budget? Why are you allowing him to go into Social Security? Like, he's calling it a Ponzi scheme. Do you want to know what a Ponzi scheme is? It's building a crypto reserve or whatever it is that they're calling it. Like, they're literally investing in crypto, which is just riled with fraud. Like, my favorite right now is the Haktua girl. Like, that chick's in some serious shit for her meme coin fraud. So it's like, the government shouldn't be fucking with that. But here we are. Here we are. These people are literally going to gut our government. You're letting a billionaire who hasn't created fucking anything. He literally started with money. Like, go listen to his dad. His dad tells stories about, oh, when Elon needed money, they just went into my safe and left me an IOU. Did your parents have a fucking safe at home? Did you have the code to it to go in and grab stacks of cash anytime you needed it? Because I sure as fuck didn't. And then here's another question I got for you while I'm going off. Elon Musk and Donald Trump, one of the first things they fucking did was make sure that you can't telework anymore. They did an executive order mandating that all federal workers show back up to work and do five bullet points every week or whatever. So my question to you all, especially those of us who have kids. So if you were able to keep your kids home and actually raise them, while you teleworked at home instead of sending them to daycare, now you're not able to do that. You had to send your kids back. You have to go back into the work every day. You have to spend gas in your car every day, so on and so forth. My question is, why is it that Elon Musk gets to show up to work every day in a fucking t-shirt and a trench coat and shoes that look like he got at Walmart, carrying around his fucking toddler? Because you know what? Me and pretty much 99% of the American people don't get to do that. So why is it that this douchebag gets to do that and then dictate to us how we should work and how our job should work? And why is it that all of a sudden state rights don't seem to matter anymore? But when it was women's rights, we need to kick it back to the states. But now anything that Donald Trump doesn't agree with, like illegal protesting is a thing now, apparently we're just going to remove federal funding from schools for that to fuck over kids. So when I say that you MAGA people are among the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever seen on this planet, I think I'm being kind.
That was a good Ryan rant. I'll tell you that. Very clear and precise. It's one of those things. Brian, I don't know if you've really got to digest this show. We do have a good Ryan rant from once in a while. He goes off the rocker, and I do appreciate him when he has them. He's actually giving us mild Ryan rants right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the cussing down.
I know.
I do that every day, so I can certainly relate.
Yes, this is your spirit animal right here.
Yep.
What's really telling is that the fact that we have a billionaire. I don't know what that is.
It's Eric Trump taking off, and is it bad that the first thought I had was
okay?
Never mind.
Don't finish that. Don't finish that. So the fact that we have a billionaire though that was not elected, we know that he was elected because of how this whole thing is played out, of him buying the ticket to be front row for this whole thing. But the fact that we have an unelected billionaire who is actually chopping away at our government, and I think about the legality of a lot of this. Calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme and looking at the fact that he is going to go for that next. We know it's on the chopping block, but looking at $60 billion that they were going to give Ukraine and how they've literally just said, we're not doing it. What is the legality? And that's the thing I want to get to is like a lot of these things that are out there right now where he's because EOs, what do they call it? Executive orders are not decrees. These are not things that have to be actually listened to. It's just more so of a memo. I would like to do blah, blah, blah. They're not passing much legislation, even though they have the House, the Senate, and also presidency. So with all these EOs that are just going out the door, it's like you're not actually passing anything worth substance. Yes, you have your little baby decrees. We get it. You feel tough. You feel empowered. But you literally have this ongoing battle, legality that's coming into play, where Elon's being sued, and you're looking at the fact of him being part of or head of Doge, them saying he's not some random woman that they just picked out of a hat. But then you're there at the State of the Union, you go, to my guy right there, Elon, he's running Doge. It's like, and that literally, that statement was then taken and put into the current court case against him that's now sitting in front of a judge. And it's like, yes, I get that we've even touched on it, but it's like, it's going to be really interesting to see how a lot of this is fought in the courtroom. And if we have a track record, a resume of Trump's cases, he doesn't win many of them.
No, he lost again today.
Struck down with the U.S. aid. He just got struck down. They said you have to pay everybody that's done work already, past work, or whatever the case is. You have to release this freeze. These funds will be paid out. And it's like when you guys start paying attention to all the real losses that are there, what's being put in front of. This is where it's going to get very interesting. Pan Bondi can't even find people, AGs, to work for him. Like, this is how serious this is getting.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm asking all the lawyers, step your game up and get these people, man. You go after them. You make sure you go after if they jaywalk, go after them.
Yeah.
That's the reality of like creating some type of resistance to some of this. I really do wish, Ryan, that they did not show up yesterday to the State of Union. The imagery alone, as much as I love This Is Not Normal, that is a great sign. I would have loved to see an empty half of the House, which showed you half of America is nowhere near you.
I had a few ideas.
What were your other ones?
One of the ideas was what you just said, just don't show up. The other idea was show up in pro-Ukrainian Zelensky type attire. Everybody show up doing that.
That would have been good.
Pro-Canada hats, stuff like that. Here's what I don't like. First of all, they were so disorganized. Some of the Democrats left early. Most of them stayed. These stupid signs, and that's what I'm saying. They're stupid. It looked like they were playing bingo. I don't know what those signs were.
Yeah. Funny just said that. Yep.
They weren't in unison. They weren't putting up the signs at the same time. They were disorganized. I'm sick of looking at the smirks on their faces. Adam Schiff's sitting there the whole time like an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call it for what it is.
Bro, you're saying what we're all thinking.
Either don't show up or show up and be disruptive and leave in groups. What they did was an embarrassment.
Or get dragged out.
They had an opportunity to send a message to the country and to the world.
Yeah.
The Democrats are not going to put up with Donald Trump anymore, and we are going to fight. Instead, what did they do? They listened to Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, let's be nice. Let me tell you something. Being nice is part of the reason why Donald Trump became the president. Again, for the second time. And I'm tired of these cowards on the left. They shouldn't. Why were you even sitting there? Oh, well, we need to be there because this is the history of this country. Bob, no, that's out the window now. We are not living in normal times. Act like it. Act like it. Be willing to fight fire with fire. And they didn't do that yesterday. At least most of them didn't. There were a few that did, and I give them credit for it. But most of these Democrats are spineless. They're cowards. And it's about time to stand up to these bigots and these wannabe dictators. And they didn't do it yesterday. They had a golden opportunity. And you know what Donald Trump hates the most? When he's not the center of attention. Right. Imagine if you had all these Democrats walking out and being disruptive. I don't know, every 5 or 10 minutes you had 4 or 5 Democrats getting kicked out of there and being disruptive. Right. The focus, even on Fox News, would not have been on Donald Trump. It would have been on the Democrats. Now, whether it be negative or positive, the focus would not have been on Donald Trump.
It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
And they didn't do it. They had an opportunity. They had a golden opportunity to do it, and they didn't do it. So I don't have faith in a lot of these Democrats. 95% of them. I have respect for some of them. Don't have respect for most.
Yeah, when Hakeem is losing a little bit of real estate with me because of the fact that he said, like, we don't have any of the power. We can't do anything. And I go,
you know what?
That's not how you lead.
But Hakeem would have been maybe the right guy for the job 10 years ago. He's the wrong guy for the job now. You need somebody tough. You need a Jasmine Crockett type. You need a Jared Moskowitz type. Golden, I think, is while he's not as brass, he's very intelligent and well spoken.
That's my congrologman.
Yeah.
I write to him a lot.
Very intelligent guy.
He doesn't respond.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Like, you don't even get the like.
No,
office
I get the sense of money. You know who I got a response from? Janet Mills. That's who I got a response from. I reached out to her and said, "Thank you for what you're doing for trans."
I gotta be. I mean, Jasmine Crockett's people have been great to me. She did my show a few weeks ago. She's going to come on again.
But you're not her constituent.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm a media guy. Eric Swalwell.
She's going on podcasts.
No. But this is my point. If you write to your constituent,
hear
from them.
Right, that's different.
Goldman is my his constituent. I
don't know really how that works, and obviously, if you're a constituent, he at some point he should get back to you. I don't know exactly.
At least with the email, like, we've got your message. Thank you for contacting.
That's how I am literally looking at this show. If this show blows up, I'll know by Goldman reaching out to me, be like, "Hey, Ian, how you doing?" I'm like, "Finally, we fucking made
Mr.
it."
Sherman, we
right.
saw your video.
Hello, Mr. Sherman.
Listen, I have a lot of criticism for the way Kamala Harris ran her campaign. In Las Vegas, if you kissed the ring of Donald Trump, it didn't matter whether you had 6 or 7 listeners, he would do your show eventually.
Yeah.
I begged them to get me Kamala on the line for 10 minutes, and they wouldn't do it. Now, that's not Kamala's fault. That's the fault of her campaign and the people that were running her campaign.
Was ran by? Biden's people.
Yeah.
It was majority Biden's people that she had to inherit.
Listen, it's disappointing. I got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on my show. I mean, I've had Caroline Leavitt did my show. Kamala's people did get me, some good gets, but it wasn't Kamala. It wasn't Tim Walz. And I said to myself, this is part of the reason why she lost. She lost the younger vote. Not her fault, her campaign. And what you're talking about is a lack of communication with some Democrats within the party. Donald Trump did a lot of shows, man. He did a lot of podcasts. Yeah. And she did not.
Her not doing Joe Rogan. And at the time, I think, if I recall, I thought it was actually the right choice at the time. But now, retrospectively, I think Ian was right. She should have done the show.
Yeah.
I said that from the beginning. I said that.
Yeah, I don't think I did on the Joe Rogan. I think if I remember correctly, I was like, yeah, why give him the whatever? But retrospectively looking back, that was a bad choice.
At least somebody liked it.
At least give him Tim something. Yeah.
And did I hear Tim Walz right on a podcast the other day saying that he's considering running for president? Are you fucking kidding me? You had your chance, dude. You're a nice guy. I respect your service. Get out of the way, okay? Kamala Harris, if she wants to run for governor of California, fine, let her do so. But can we just stop the nonsense here? We need better candidates.
She's dropped out for running for governor, and she's looking at 2028.
Oh, that's a joke. Okay, guys. Yeah. Women.
That was my response.
I have no problem with a woman becoming the president of the United States if she's qualified. Okay.
Nope.
But let's be honest. Women are.
And this is coming from Kamala voters, by the way. I think everybody out here voted for Kamala, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're saying this is
so people visually can see that. Yes, we did.
I voted for Kamala. I would do it 100 times over again against Donald Trump easily. Yeah. That being said, I got to co-sign what Brian's saying here.
Step aside. There are better. And by the way, there are too many people in this country that are not willing to vote for somebody if they're a woman. Now, I'm not one of those people. You guys aren't. But they have to take that into account. Give it a rest right now. Vice president, sure. But, I look at a Josh Shapiro, Jasmine Crockett ticket, something along those lines that'll get people really excited.
You know what's going to happen? It's going to be Cuomo of New York. I'm making a comeback.
That's a horrible mistake.
Well, that's what happens when you set the precedent of electing a fucking felon. He's like, shit, I can come back now.
Just get ready, you guys. I'm telling you, Cuomo's coming back. I'm changing things.
I'm going to tell you something. They better start thinking about this stuff right now. You got the midterms right around the corner.
They're not.
And they're not going to because they're going to be too busy playing damage control the whole damn time.
And this is if anything, pay attention to how the Democrats handled, like you said, this State of the Union. They were not connected. They're not the same messaging. They're all doing their own thing. They're all trying to figure out how they can steal the limelight from. And yet we're talking about the one that had the sign, right? I don't know her name, but she had the sign and said, "This is not normal." That imagery stands out. It's a quick shot of just Trump turned sideways and her with that sign before someone snatched it, like you said. But the fact that they're not in unison, the fact that leadership wanted them to just sit there and not make a sound, and it's like, why? Why do you want to be?
Might as well just not show up then.
That would have been perfect if you guys all sat down and then listened to him, "Welcome America," and everybody just stood up and walked out in sync. That would have stolen the show.
You know what I would have done if I was leading the party. This is what I would have done. I'd have said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to go to that. We're all going to go to the Lincoln Memorial. We're going to sit on the freaking steps, and we're just going to sit there and talk. We're just going to talk to people.
Will there be burgers and shakes at this party?
Fucking pizza just go there. And just the visual of half of Congress sitting on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial while he's sitting in there spreading his lies.
Talking about this is the Republican Party we like to hang out with. It's like that would
This
actually
is
made
this
sense.
is the, you know, we want to hang out with the Reagan Republican Party again. And let me just challenge you all that are listening,
Yeah.
especially all the people that are listening on Twitter right now. We got over 1,000 people. I challenge you to do this. Go pull up on YouTube Ronald Reagan's final address from the White House. Do me that favor. Just go Google it and go watch it. The whole thing in its entirety. It's not that long. I think it's like 15 minutes. Okay? It's the last speech that he gives. And in that speech, and I'm paraphrasing, so it's not word for word, but in that speech, he says something along the lines of, America is great because of immigrants. And we need to welcome these people, not discourage them from coming.
Yeah.
And that's the Republican Party of old. And let's not even go back that far. Let's go back to 2008, 2007, when you had John McCain running against Barack Obama, and you had an old white woman say she just can't vote for him because he's one of those Taliban or whatever word she used. And John McCain instantly pulled the mic back and said, no, ma'am. I'm not going to let you say that because that's not true.
He's a good man.
He's a good man. We just happen to disagree on some political
That was
issues.
the moment. That was the best political moment, I think, of my lifetime.
Mine too.
And that made me. It's not that I didn't
Besides
want to vote
Obama getting elected, maybe, but
It's not that I didn't want to vote for Obama. I just said, even though I can't stand Sarah Palin, I said, you know what, I'm going to be okay if John McCain wins. So I didn't vote for either of them because I would have been okay with either of them winning.
Yeah.
That moment, I just gained so much respect for John McCain. I already had a lot of respect for him. Even a guy like a Mitt Romney, who, by the way, I was right about him too. While I disagree with him probably 99% of the time on the way he votes, he's not a horrible man.
No, he's not.
A decent man.
No.
And I have respect
I'll
for him.
co-sign that.
And we've lost that today.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Donald Trump ever grabbing a microphone and saying, no, ma'am, Kamala Harris, she's a decent woman. We just disagree on policy. Of course not.
He'd egg it on. He'd
Right.
be like, yeah, keep it going.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to get back to those John McCain days in our lifetime. I'm not sure we ever will.
Well, I don't think the Republican Party survives this. They are in bed with it, and there's no way to come back out of this.
They'll survive it only because the billionaires will survive it.
No. What I mean by that is that this is a stain that's on them that they, depending on how this goes, depending on if this crashes, whatever happens, the fact that they are literally tying themselves to Putin, to the idea of actual communism, to dictatorships like that, they are really gung-ho about being a part of this. I don't think they survive this. And maybe this is the death of a party that needs to happen for us to wake up to ranked choice voting, to another party jumping into the, there's this, I do feel like this is a transition in America. You know what I mean? Like there's not only a teachable moment. This is why the farmers need to fail. This is why people need to feel the pain that they are. This is why the people who are now being targeted by Canada, where they're no longer buying the liquor. So these red states are targeted by these tariffs. They are not buying.
Since you brought that up, can I go ahead and play this video just for some context for the listeners?
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and play this real quick. This is what is he? Is he Prime Minister Ford?
For the Providence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ford.
Right? Is that the word?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's Ford. I just didn't remember what his title
Ford.
was.
Is it Doug Ford or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just a quick video pulled off of Now Toronto on TikTok. So that's the source of the video. But here we go.
Starting today, LCBO, the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, will begin removing U.S. products from its store shelves, meaning other retailers, bars, and restaurants in the province will no longer be able to restock U.S. products. Also, starting today, all U.S.-based companies will be banned from taking part in government procurement. U.S.-based businesses will now lose out on tens of billions of dollars in revenues. They only have President Trump to blame. As part of this government-wide procurement ban, we're going one step further. We're ripping up Ontario's contract with Starlink. It's done, it's gone. We won't award contracts to people who enable and encourage economic attacks on our province and our country.
Yeah.
Why can't we do something like that? Like it feels like South Korea when they removed their leader for doing the crap he did.
Within
now
a
Canada's
month.
Mexico's
month.
president, who she's amazing. It's like I feel like all these other countries are showing us how it's supposed to be done.
A month. South Korea did it in a month.
Like
They
how do you?
literally
I
removed
mean,
and prosecuted him in a month.
what do you think, Brian?
It makes absolutely no sense to me. But in the times that we're living in today, nothing really shocks me anymore. I
I'm just
think,
saying Donald Trump should have been arrested after J6.
well, of
within a
course.
month.
Oh,
Well,
within a
100%.
month.
100%.
Listen, that's
Should have been
obvious. And the question I ask MAGA Republicans all the time is, does January 6th happen if Donald Trump isn't lying about the 2020 election? Now, obviously it doesn't, right?
Thank you, sir.
Obviously. So if that's your answer, then why wouldn't you hold him partially responsible? You don't have to say, storm the Capitol and hang Mike Pence in order to be arrested. And listen, I thought Jack Smith had a good case. I was shocked and surprised that he didn't charge him with incitement. But the reality of the situation is, I believe if Donald Trump didn't win the election in 2024, there's a good chance he'd be in jail right now, regardless.
A lot better chance, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, we go back to hypocrisy, right? They say make America safe again. So is making America safe again pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers with their own batons? Of course not. Now, some of those people are back in jail. One of those people got into a gunfight with cops and was killed. So whenever they tell you we need to make America safe again and we want to deport all these illegals, just remind them about January 6th. They're fucking hypocrites.
Right.
Yeah.
But I always say this too, Brian, is that there was a lot of police, off-duty police at J6 fighting their brothers.
Oh, for sure. Military veterans too.
Sure.
Yep,
like when you think about who actually was the cast and crew, it really makes you just sit here and go, protect and serve.
And then
Like,
when
that
you
means
realize
nothing
that,
to you.
and then when you
Right.
realize the Supreme Court has come out and ruled that police officers have no duty to protect us, the citizens, but it's more
Yeah.
about protecting property.
Right.
That makes it even more terrifying.
Well, they weren't protecting that Capitol, now were they?
And just because I don't want to get dinged for misinformation, the January 6th guy technically didn't get into a gunfight with the guy. What he did was he ran back to the car and he grabs his gun and says, "I'm going to shoot myself," because he didn't want to go back to prison or have it mess up his pardon. And the cop
said,
did what he had to do. He backed
Hold
up.
that thought.
As soon
I'll
as you
do
got
it
it,
for you.
I mean, you go grab a
Honestly, that
gun.
was somebody
The
that
cop
was
can't
very-
sit there and be like, "Oh, let me sit back and make sure that's what you're going to do with it."
Somebody
Like,
that was very
Shoot
mentally
himself.
disturbed.
Yeah,
Obviously.
clearly.
Somebody that would storm the Capitol and believe what Donald Trump has.
And he literally and he says that to the cop, and the way the cop was like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel bad for the cop because now he's got to live with taking a life.
Sure.
It was supposed to be just a traffic stop.
Just to
That
try,
was all
like
it was
he was being so cool to the guy too. Like he was like, "Okay," and he's like, "Unfortunately, you've reached a felony status now, and I have to take you in."
Right.
Like he wasn't being a dick at all, and it's like,
No.
and it just escalated like within seconds. Like it was like 3-5 seconds, and next thing you know, he's shooting him. So
Yeah.
it's just insane. But the point doesn't change that you're trying to make, Brian, which is all these people he's let out violent criminals before when he let out 5,000 Taliban, and then some of them ended up helping kill 13 soldiers in Afghanistan. Right. But let's not talk about that. And then you look at, what was it, 1,500? Was it 1,500 you let out from January 6th?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was about 1,500, and I think about 600 of them were violent criminals.
Like, imagine if Biden had let out violent criminals. Did he that I know of? I mean, I could, maybe he didn't. I missed
did
it.
a couple, he let go of a lot of people who had misdemeanor for drug offenses for weed. Nothing.
I don't count that.
Nothing. No, but I'm saying nothing compared
Nothing
to
to
this.
this extent. I don't like pardons in general anyway. I think it gives the president way too much power, but nobody's above the law.
I liked it when they used to use them for, shit like that. Like, stupid weed offenses. Like, I never had a problem with that. But, now you're seeing, like, you're definitely seeing it being abused. But here's the thing: we had this on the show the other day, and Ian and I disagreed with the guest, and they said that they didn't like Biden pardoning Fauci and all of that.
Preemptive pardons.
Pardons, and I'm like, normally I'd be like, yeah, I understand that, but in this instance, we see why they had to do it. Like
Right.
they're so upset that they can't go after him.
This
They're
is not
literally
normal
trying
time.
to overturn
That's
the
right.
pardon. They're trying to find a way around it because they know that it's such big red meat for their political base
That's
that
right.
they have to try to accomplish it. And it's like, so I understand why he did it. And I'm actually kind of glad. This dude served this country for over 40 years, working for multiple presidents. He's worked for the American people. He's 80 something years old. Shut the fuck up and let this man retire and go enjoy whatever is left of his life. Jesus
Right.
Christ.
Right.
Agree.
It literally would have been just a circus. They would have been trying to parade them around in the
Yep.
court system, dragging it out. And it's just one of those things where it's like, this is not that serious. Even with Hunter,
Yeah.
was never an elected official.
So
like,
let
why
me-
are we even playing this game?
So let me ask you this, Brian. Do you think that Donald Trump still would have issued the pardons that he issued even if Biden hadn't done those pardons?
Well, yeah, 100%. Because for years, Donald Trump has been saying that he was going to pardon those individuals way
He ran
before
on it.
Joe. Way before. But I will also say this: there's a big difference between pardoning people that have not been charged with a crime and pardoning people that were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy and beating cops. So, but yeah, to answer
That's very fair. Yeah, that's very fair correction.
But,
Yeah.
but to answer your question, Trump's been talking about pardoning these individuals for years,
Yeah.
way before Joe Biden's pardon. So
He literally
absolutely,
ran
yes.
on that. He said, "You vote me in,
Yep.
and I will pardon
Yeah.
our patriots." You
And
know,
if you're a white supremacist, right wing, fringe Nazi, and you beat cops, it's totally okay as long as you support Donald Trump.
right?
That's the message he's sending to America.
Yep. That is the message. And
But
that's
this,
why they feel so emboldened to do the crap they're doing.
But this Doug Ford in Canada, the Providence leader,
That was masterful.
we're in New York, right? I'm in New York. We're from Detroit, Ryan and I. When you look at what his connection to those being Doug Ford's, he can shut off the power to these sources. We don't realize how connected we are as a continent within each other. And the fact that you look at the deal that Trump is creating this bullshit war over, this trade war, it's the same trade that he created in 2019. And you sit here and you're watching this man talk about it being a problem. You're like, yeah, but you got rid of NAFTA back in your first term and you created this. You negotiated whatever this is currently. And so then now you're going to sit here and tell us that it's a shit deal, but you created it. So this is once again the problems you create, and then you're just stirring the pot more. But Doug Ford came out just this past week, and he's just like, look, we're raising the price of your electricity. So I told my wife, I go, girl, we gonna be turning off some of these lights. We're gonna see what this looks like depending on how long this goes.
Yeah.
But I go, we need to have a plan. If he feels like cutting off the power, we need to understand what's going to happen, because we may be on a grid in America where we can kind of circulate electricity through the Midwest to the east. We know that the Midwest to the on the other side of the Mississippi, so central to west, is on a grid. Texas is by itself. Texas, you're on your own. You have 1 inch of snow and you're fucked. Like, there's nothing to help you out. But when you look at the system of how we can share power, it's like, okay, well, if Michigan is off the table because Doug Ford can do that, some of the states over here, being New York, and I believe also Maine, Vermont, when you look at those states losing also power, it's like, well, how could then the system help take on all of this? So it's like, we need to realize how symbiotic our relationship is with our partners, north and south. And this is only going to get started, but he's already rewalking the auto situation because his donors, everybody's looking at Trump like, what do you think you're doing? You're tanking the industry, like everything.
Yeah.
I just want to answer a question real quick from somebody listening. Anthony asked, do you like Al Green, Ryan? I like both Al Green, the singer, and the representative. I also appreciate what he did. I, like Brian and Ian, I think all three of us have been saying, we want Democrats to be noisy. We want them to cause a scene. We want them to fight for us. So I definitely appreciated the fact that he wasn't shy to stand up and point that cane and say, y'all are messed up. So, and then the second question is, and I think all three of us will probably agree, do you think Jasmine Crockett should be a minority leader? Yes. I would put her in any freaking position that gives her a bigger bullhorn.
Yep, I agree.
The only thing I dislike about Al Green is I think he filed articles of impeachment too soon. I think he's cheapening. He's cheapening
Yeah, but they need to focus on other stuff. What's that going to do? I mean,
And that's my point. That's the only thing I don't like.
Yeah,
Only
Trump
thing I
was
don't like.
impeached a couple times already. It's not going to do any good.
Yeah.
What they need to figure out is how they get these MAGA Republicans out of office.
Yeah.
And trying to impeach Donald Trump again it's a waste of time.
That's exactly
I don't have
it.
a problem with what he did
been,
last night, but I do have a problem with come on, impeachments. It's going to get us nowhere.
That's exactly it. I think
Yep.
save that, like don't cheapen it, and you wait until you take over both chambers, and then you can start talking about that.
Right.
But the reality is that I don't want to weaponize impeachment. It really needs to be implemented for a real purpose, like the ones that were in front of us, and they should have been used in the past term. But for what he did at the State of the Union, yes, for Jasmine Crockett, she should be on the highest committees, and she should absolutely keep doing exactly what she's doing, because she's not screaming in the mic. She's just clearly speaking logic to this current situation.
And speaking of weaponizing things, let's move on to the tariffs. I know we already talked about Canada's response a little bit, but Trump has come out. Was it all tariffs he's suspended for 30 days or just certain ones?
No, just the auto. Just the auto.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, he's already kind of toying with certain tariffs and whatnot, but this is going to affect us all. I don't want to sit here. I don't want people to misconstrue some of the things that I've posted in the last few weeks of celebrating, that this is going to hurt us. I'm not celebrating. Like, I'm laughing at your stupidity and the fact that you're the reason we're here. Like, that's what I'm laughing at. But I'm not laughing at what's happening to us because it's affecting my family. It's affecting Brian's family, Ian's family, your family. I realize that. I have empathy for that. I'm just not playing the game. I'm not going to sit here and try to, be all nice and say, oh, hopefully things work out. No, let's point the finger at the people that are causing this problem. And the people that are causing it are Donald Trump and his cronies.
Right.
Okay. Some tariffs are okay. Tariffs are a tool to be used. Okay. It's an economic tool. I'm not sitting here saying it's not, but when you start imposing excessive tariffs, that's excessive taxation. And that is when you start messing with people's money, that's what wars are started over. So, and the final thing I want to say about Canada that I don't think a lot of MAGA Trump supporters fully understand, I think a lot of them think Saudi Arabia is our number one importer of oil, and it's not. And it's not even OPEC. It's Canada. Yeah. Canada is our number one importer of oil. So congratulations, Trump and MAGA. You've now made an enemy out of the person or the country that sells us most of our oil that we need for, gas and shit. So when the prices start going, I want you to remember who's the cause of it. It's not Joe Biden. It's not Democrats. It's going to be your guy.
It's, it's funny to hear the conspiracies and all the bullshit about like Gulf of Mexico versus Gulf of America.
Why does he keep leaving that up in the freaking, ooh.
That's
why to piss me off. That's why, because it pisses me off. That's why.
It turns the night. But the conspiracy is that on a legality, I always keep going back to this of like seeing how they kind of. It's one of those things where if now that they've changed the name, can they drill there? Because I know there's been lots of talks of you can't drill in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, well I'm not drilling in Gulf of Mexico. Now I'm drilling in Gulf of America. Like, is it going to change some of the things? But I thought to myself, just because you change the name of a building doesn't mean it's a different building. It's still the same building. Doesn't matter who's the tenant, So I don't know what the reality of that is, but
I knew what you meant, Angry.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. But it's just bullshit, and it made me lose stock in not real stock, but just in general, my trust in Google because of the fact that you're so willing to bend the knee. Why do I want to Google something now? Because I don't know if I could trust that information.
And if you don't want to use Google, another thing that you can use is Justice AI, who happens to sponsor this podcast. So go ahead and check out Justice AI. It is a great tool that we use to fact check information, but it's better than that. You can also use it to take out any kind of bias that might be in your posts, your scripts, whatever you might use. So it's a great tool that Ian and I use here on Hold the Mic. We're very appreciative to Christian Ortiz and Mod Atlas for sponsoring us and allowing us to use Justice AI. I know it has helped improve the content that we deliver to you guys, especially being able to fact check everything in a much faster way and summarized way. So definitely thank you to our sponsors. You guys make this show possible. So yeah, that was a good place to put that. I like that.
It's always a good place.
So let's move on to the $8 million transgender mice, shall we? Brian, what was your initial reaction to the $8 million transgender mice comment?
Well, I mean, he's an idiot. He clearly doesn't know how to read. That was my first response. He's a moron. But can you imagine if Joe Biden said something like that and he misread something, and Fox News would be leading with it for the next week? But for Donald Trump, he's not in the bunker. He doesn't have Alzheimer's. He's doing great. I'd love to meet these transgender mice.
Did you see how he leaned into it? He's like, that's really happening. That's happening.
He's like, it's true.
And the MAGA morons that were in that room actually bought into it.
Yeah,
they laughed.
Yes, it's true what he said.
Yeah. Social media.
I wonder which restroom those mice are using.
Ask Nancy Mace. That's who you need to get. Get Mace on the case. Mace on the case.
Yeah.
So, just for those who might actually care, the $8 million grant was for it was a program for transgenic mice, and what it is it was a science experiment basically where they would inject mice to make their tissue react more like human tissue, so that they could test diseases on them instead of humans. So that's the funding that they removed.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Protecting humans with science, and they think it's transgender mice.
Yep.
And that's because there's
Next they're going to
like,
be protecting the mice.
You know what I mean? There's children named Big Balls who are doing these
sweet mother of God.
audits that are finding everything. So it's when you lose your job or I don't know, your child's cancer research because Big Balls has deemed it waste or fraud of government spending. Let that sink in. You shake your head. You can't make this up. You really SNL couldn't even make this shit up.
Our friend Jason here said the oil companies are already drilling in the Gulf where they want to. Change the name isn't likely to increase that part. I really think it is a distraction, a litmus test to see what they can do. I agree with a lot of that. I think a lot of this is just what can we get away with? What will the followers love? What did renaming this do? It did nothing. It did nothing but make the MAGA people go, oh, look how strong he is.
It showed Google is in bed
that
with
too.
Trump. It's the heavy hitters. It showed that these people are loyalists. That's what it showed.
Yep.
Agree. This is the part where we started looking at it being more of an oligarch than anything else.
Yeah.
Those main people sitting on stage that had nothing to do with government and were showcased like trading cards. Look who I have here. When you have Zuckerberg just staring at breasts on stage, on the world stage, you're just like, this is what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, this is the best we got. But yeah, oligarchs.
It really is insane to see where America is. You mentioned it already, and we need to get Sarah back on here. We had Sarah Higginbotham on the show a while back, and we want to bring her back on to talk about ranked choice voting. Yeah. She's done a lot of advocacy work and work in D.C. on that. So that's a conversation we definitely want to have because, look, my brother-in-law is from another country, and he tells me all the time of how their political structure is there. And he's like, we have 8 to 12 viable parties every election. He's like, we never know who might get it. Like everybody has a pretty fair shot. He's like, yeah, the top 5 or 6 parties maybe, win more than others, but still, there's still more viable parties.
Right.
Like we literally have one or the other. It is the most insane thing. Like we're supposed to be this country that is better than the rest, the best country in the world. Well, if we are, then it's time that we evolve. It's time for us to evolve our positions. It's time for us to evolve our politics, our government, how we run our elections. Like we see it's broken. It's been broken for over 2 decades now. 2020 was the first time we really saw it rear its head where it was like, the popular vote isn't meshing with the electoral vote. And, this is interesting. And then we go on to Republicans winning electoral college, but losing the popular vote by millions.
Right.
So we need to get serious about how we fix this problem. And the way we fix it is by creating a way that removes this 2-party system, because it's too easy for the billionaires, the rich people, and the people with all the power to come in, take over one or the other, and just cause this mass issue. And then the only people that are getting hurt are us.
Yeah.
You know, this big tax break that just came out, go look at the graphs for that. It's you, me, Brian, Ian, our families are the ones getting screwed here.
Yep.
And the people getting the biggest tax breaks of all, of course, are Trump and his buddies. So again, I don't know why 77 plus million of you thought that a convicted felon and a prolific business fraud and an adjudicated rapist and accused pedophile was somehow going to be a good person to run this country, especially after the first 4 years we witnessed. But for some reason you did. And that's why I am going to put my foot in your ass for the next 4 years or however long this lasts. Hopefully it's going to be shorter, but it is what it is.
I was hoping you would have done the Major Payne. I was just really hoping just to show my age. Just to show my age. Yes, I'm gonna
I'll put my foot in your ass.
That's what I was hoping you would do it, but here we are. Gotta love the Wayans. Gotta love them.
And again, this stupid speech, he disparaged DEI policies and called them divisive. Now, I challenge anybody that didn't go watch this, go watch his little 90-something minute ego speech and tell me how divisive it is. Because I didn't see any time in there where he called for all Americans to come together and get an agenda done or stop a war or whatever. All I heard were more political talking points and bullshit.
It was a rally speech. It was a rally.
Yep.
We went to a Trump rally.
Yep.
But I will ask you guys, did you guys see Alyssa Slotkin, her rebuttal?
I did. Yep.
And I promise it was not a weird rebuttal in a kitchen. I will say that right now.
Yeah.
It's an upgrade right there. She's from Michigan. Really proud to see Alyssa Slotkin. Ryan, I think you would like it. I would say go check it out. And she even said she actually is fighting on her own, right? She's fighting like a woman from the suburbs fights. That's what I expect. And she made her solid points. And she was like, look, I'm going to keep this a lot shorter than whatever we just watched. I was like, okay. She's starting with some speaking with her chest. She said she has something to say. And she stayed on target and she was real precise. Ryan, if you don't know anything about really Alyssa Slotkin, I would say check her out.
I don't actually.
You should check her out because she's actually ex-military. She breaks it all down in her speech and she lets you know who she is.
Yeah.
If anything, it's a great way for her to also show that she's elevating like Crockett, like AOC, but she's not the squad. She's just a different type of beast coming out of the camp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, I would encourage everybody to go look at her rebuttal. It's actually solid.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah.
The last couple things I want to touch on before we wrap up the show. I really want to talk about this Social Security lie that they keep pushing. If you guys haven't,
Ponzi scheme.
well, that's what Musk is pushing,
Right.
but they keep pushing this. Oh, there's people who are aged 150, with Social Security numbers getting benefits.
Yep.
So let me start with, for those of you who don't know, Social Security was started in 1936 when the Social Security Act was signed by FDR in 1935. And then it went into effect in 1936. So if you do the math, it hasn't even been 100 years since Social Security went into effect, which means that our government has only been issuing Social Security numbers for 80-something years. Okay? So when they say that and people believe it, it shows how absolutely fucking stupid you are. Because you don't fact check anything. You don't think for a second to go, is the program even that old?
Math ain't mathin'.
Like, how are you going to have 150-year fucking Social Security numbers when the damn program's only been around for 87 years?
That's right.
Like, come on, people. And then you want to look at people like Brian and me and Ian who do our shows and try to bring out all this information, and you say, we're the problem. No, we're not the problem. You're the problem. The fact that you voted for a fraud thinking that he was going to represent you. The fact that you voted for a dude who shits in gold toilets thinking that he was going to care about your job, your 401k, your family. He doesn't give a fuck about his own family.
Well, I'm gonna push back on you on that one. I don't think this is Trump. I think this is Musk, man.
Which part? The Social Security?
Social Security, everything. But this
I don't
is
think
the
it's
biggest.
no, I agree with that. I don't think it's just Trump.
When I say this, the fact that we have an unelected billionaire who is making decisions while also getting paid billions in all the same subsidies that he's over here cutting for all these other
saying,
industries.
I don't want money. I don't want a paycheck. It's like, yeah, you're getting billions from us already.
Starlink is over here now getting connected to FAA of contracts. You have
It's insane.
You have, which we all called out, mind you, a lot of
The
us,
NASA contracts.
but a lot of us called out the whole Cybertruck bullshit being militarized, and we're like, no. 400 million to try to militarize a Cybertruck that can't even drive in an inch of snow? Get out of here!
Can't pull a F-150.
Can't pull a fucking Pinto. Get out of here! It's not doing it. But when you look at it and you wonder to yourself, you're like, well, why is Doge not looking into your own contracts? You know, when you look at the grifting that really is existing right now. So for him to really try to chop up Social Security, and then again, these children who are to be auditors, they can't even count that much. I'm sorry.
Well, again, how are you going to have a bunch of, hackers basically running this thing? If I'm going to be trying to find, fraud, waste, and abuse within accounting of our government, I might hire at least a few forensic accountants. Like, honestly, I'd be okay if he hired a few hackers or whatever to, break through, to do whatever they do, because I'm sure they're very good at computer skills. I'd be okay with that. It's the fact that you don't have not one forensic accountant on that team.
I feel like Cyber Ninjas did more with forensics and with auditors.
And it took them almost a year. Like, you people think that magically in fucking 45 days that they found trillions of dollars in fraud, waste, and abuse? Because if you do, I've got a very large bridge in San Francisco I will love to sell you.
It's pretty simple. Fraud, last I checked, is a crime in the United States of America. How many people have been convicted in the last 6 weeks? Have they sent any referrals to prosecutors?
I was about to say, they haven't even sent referrals.
Fraud is a crime. But every single time Caroline Leavitt, that evil witch, that's what she is, a fake Christian buffoon who's married to the Crypt Keeper, every single time she speaks, it's true. I mean, she's in her 20s, right?
She's 27 and he's like
27,
60.
and she's married to a guy. She's like the Anna Nicole Smith.
She really is.
God.
That's how she's a DEI hire. She's a straight up DEI hire.
And every single time she says the word fraud, where's the crime?
Yeah.
Who have you referred to prosecution?
Right.
Who has been arrested?
Yep.
They haven't arrested one person, but they claim there's all this fraud because they are all lying.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
So Caroline Leavitt, if you have an issue determining what fraud is, just look at your boss.
Yeah.
That's a 34-time convicted felon.
Ryan, how about the money that she stole when she ran for office?
I forget how much was it.
Funny how that story, a couple $100,000. It's funny how that story just hides, right? That's a good Christian, somebody who steals.
But again,
money.
It's always the frauds, the sexual predator. Like they all stick together. They all stick together.
They do.
Nobody wants to talk about the Epstein files that came out and how Trump's name come out on those logs. How many times?
Yeah, no
kidding. This is what it is.
Yep.
So go ahead.
With what you were both touching on, why did also Doge just delete a lot of their findings from their website?
Because they're all bullshit and people are finding it out.
Because everybody's actually looking into what they're saying.
Fact checking it. They're not just taking his word for it, and they're catching him time and time and time again. Yeah. And by the way, just to keep if you want to talk about Elon Musk and fraud, if you were going to go to a company, any company, let's just say a car company, and you walked into, let's just say a Chevy dealership, and you said, "I love that Chevy Silverado," and you bought it, and then you drove it out, and 54 miles later, the damn thing stopped working completely. You tow it back to the car dealership, and you say, "You know what? I don't want that one back because the parts are going to cost, it's going to take 4 months to get the parts. So how about you take that back as a trade-in, and I'll upgrade to this truck, and I'll spend more money." Now, if the dealership looked at you and said, "I'm sorry, Chevy doesn't allow us to take back trade-ins of that particular truck," what would that make you think as a consumer? Would that give you much faith in the product if the company itself won't even bring it back? Not even after 100 miles? Because that's exactly what the fuck happened. A Cybertruck was driven off the Tesla lot. Dude drove like 50-something miles. The freaking thing died. He had it sent back to the dealership. They said, sorry, it's going to take us like 3-4 months to get the part. He said, no problem. I don't really want to wait, though. So can you just take that back as like a trade-in? And I'll pay for that more expensive one over there, which I guess there's a premium package that you can get. And he's like, I'll just buy that. They literally wouldn't take it back. They said, sorry, we can't take it back.
And did my man sit there and wait for his parts to come back?
I don't know. I don't give a fuck
Because,
after that.
but I was gonna say, because that's a good simp that they are. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like me, I would be like, oh, really? I'd be calling up news. They don't. I just drove this thing 50 miles.
I would have been that vet who blew his shit up in front of the Trump hotel.
Or the one dude that ran the car into the dealership and just got up and walked. He's like, I told you I was bringing it back. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Brian?
Again, I hate to repeat myself.
Groundhog Day.
Not surprising in the times that we're living in today. And I know I keep sounding like a broken record here, but these stories are going to continue.
Yeah.
And they're not going to stop. And as far as what we were just talking about earlier with Caroline the vet and Social Security, the simple fact of it is that they're going to continue to cry and yell fraud. They're going to continue to lie to the American people on a daily basis. We have to continue to call it out. We have to support members of the media. I know that the AP was barred from that media room in the White House. They're going to continue to lie to us every single day. I'm not surprised with anything that I see on a regular basis. And it's going to continue so long as people like Elon Musk or what did I hear somebody on my show today call it? Elania is the first lady. It's going to continue. And we just have to be prepared for it for the next 3.5+ years.
Jesus.
Yeah. And speaking of it,
get it to midterms. Let's get it to midterms.
Yes, I agree. That's important.
So speaking of Elon Musk, for those of you who don't know, he called Social Security a Ponzi scheme, which go look up what a Ponzi scheme is and you'll know that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But I will say that what I think the real Ponzi scheme is, and I touched on earlier, was Trump and Elon coming out and saying that they're creating the crypto strategic reserve here in the United States.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, and Ian, you're a little more familiar with crypto than I am.
Yeah.
But if I was trying to, I don't know, launder a bunch of money, would crypto be a good place for me to attempt to do that?
Meme coin would be the best thing to do. And I
Why
say
is
that
that?
because anybody in the world can literally send money to you, and it's decentralized, right? But it's blockchain, so it does have a digital fingerprint to it. But at the same time, you don't know who's paying. And when you think about Trump owning a meme coin versus Melania owning a meme coin, and how those both have skyrocketed and fallen, let's not get that twisted.
Yeah.
And have fallen, which is what we consider it to be a pump and dump scheme. That is almost like the Ponzi schemes that you're looking out there. But one of the biggest things is, and I want people to pay attention to this, look at Trump's meme coin as much as possible, because especially when he starts making policies or things changing, see if his conversations change. So for a perfect example, him saying that there's going to be these tariffs and this is what's going on at 12:01 tonight, and then him backtrack or switch, see if money in his crypto has moved up and down, because you could correlate if he's making decisions off of who's paying him. That's one thing. But with Bitcoin, which is a steady coin, it is safer than, say, Doge, the coin. When you look at the fact that, and actually, Ryan, it was kind of my positive. I was going to save it for, but I don't know if we're getting to the end of the show, but we could talk about all of it all together. But my positive was like reaching out to Ryan and said, hey, oh man, by the way, like, crypto's like jumping today. This is on Sunday. I said, crypto's jumping today. Just so you know, I'm watching it skyrocket, like straight up. So I don't know if you're into that day trade or whatever. Like if you want to throw in a couple hundred or 1,000 and see where it goes and then jump out, you can do that. That's also a thing about crypto. It's 24/7. At least with the stock market, it closes at a certain time. There's weekends. You can decompress. You can get away from it. Crypto is anything goes. It is the wild, wild west of just moving currency, money. Perfect example is on Sunday, I threw in $2,000. I was like, boom, let's go. Let's see where it goes. And it's like digital betting, realistically. Shot up. I text Ryan. I said, I don't know why things are going on. And I always have a thought about when crypto acts like this. I go, what's going on in the world? Because terrorists can be moving money with crypto. This is, it can change anybody's hands. And when you think about like Russia having sanctions and all this stuff, they can use crypto to move things around. I say all that to say to you that Ryan got back to me and he sent me the screenshots of Trump saying the reserve and what they're using. Ironically, the things that he's talking about is in my portfolio. I had these since 2020 into Joe Biden's presidency, and I've just been sitting with it, buying and investing in certain crypto coins and for my own portfolio. And then to come find out, these are the ones that he's now talking about. And there's some, like Japan's using XRP as some of their currency for their banks. So it is becoming the technology, but can you buy a cup of coffee with it? No, you can't do anything really serious with it yet. But are we heading in that direction in 20 years and 30 years? You know, there's going to be something there. So to think about that far ahead, I would encourage you to look into it. Anybody, this is not financial advice, but in general. I tell this to you. The moment that you sent me Trump's tweet, I sold my shit that I put in there and I said, I'm out. Like, I was like, no. And I made a couple thousand. I said, I'm out. Like, I'm not even trying to see where this goes. I already know within 24 hours, everything started crashing down.
Yeah.
Everything started crashing down. And I go, okay, once again, he's going to be using this as a pump and dump. But the thing is, someone looked at it and they said that people put in 200 million on Bitcoin. I put in 2,000. Someone put in 200 million, and then Trump came out and said what he said about this is the reserve, blah, 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 whatever that tweet was. Whoever put in 200 million walked away with a bank heist.
Yeah, they knew.
Is all I'm saying to you. That happened literally Sunday into Monday.
And I think that's my issue. Is I'm not sitting here saying that crypto won't be a thing, you know, and that it isn't part of our future. I would just like whoever's trying to regulate it, deregulate it, to not be a convicted felon in fraud. I don't personally think that's a whole lot to ask, but in 2025 it seems to be.
But that's the thing. This is anything's up for sale. I wouldn't be surprised if my man sells the Statue of Liberty that I look at. Like that's where I'm kind of looking.
He's trying to sell the federal buildings now.
My point exactly. This is one big liquidation sale, and it's like he's going for the highest bidder.
Yep. And again, the whole point of this is to privatize everything. He's trying to make it so that him and his cronies can make money off of literally everything, even veterans' injuries and sicknesses.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a sick fuck to be willing to deregulate an entire market so that you can screw over your veterans. But that's just me. Speaking of sick fucks, this is the last thing we're going to talk about tonight. As somebody who, and I don't know your guys' stories, so, but for me, I lost my dad. He was 57, and before he died, he got a test done to figure out that it was actually genetic. And then out of my two siblings and myself, I was the only one that had it, that got the genetic mutation. So because of it, I had to have my colon taken out at 38 because I was already starting to develop cancerous polyps like my dad had. So because of all of that, and everything I have to deal with on a daily basis because of cancer, this really pissed me the fuck off. So there was a kid there who, I think he was 13, who had cancer. And, Charlie Kirk and the rest of the weirdos are all using him as a talking point. And the reason that it pisses me off the way that it did is because Elon Musk and the Doge department have already started canceling contracts that have to do with cancer research. And I believe one of the contracts actually directly dealt with children's cancer research. And the other reason it pissed me off is because if you've been following along for the last 3 or 4 years with me, then you might remember that Eric Trump was busted stealing $1.8 million of money that was earmarked for children's cancer research. Where did the money end up? It ended up in Trump family business accounts. So when you sit there and you let this man use your child, and of course they had to go out and find a child that wasn't white, and you let them use him the way that they did, knowing that he's literally making funding harder for cancer research, that they've stolen money from children's cancer research. The fact that the American people would actually be like, oh, this is what I voted for. Really? That's what you voted for? You voted for the dude taking money away from solving and helping more kids like that? Like that's really what you voted for? More importantly, I love this. Watch Trump's reaction when this little boy goes up to him.
There's one more thing I got for you, a big hug.
Okay, good. That's very nice. Look at that family you got, huh?
Like, now,
Very nice.
I don't know if you guys are parents or not, or if you've been around a whole bunch of kids, but kid comes up and hugs you like that, you hug him back. And again, I'm not trying to start a cult. Go on YouTube, look up when Joe Biden was given a town hall, and one of the kids, I believe it was one of the brothers of one of the soldiers that we lost or something like that. But he was a family member of somebody that we lost, and he runs up to Joe Biden and gives him a big old hug.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden hugs him back and says, it's going to be okay. And it's when you look at that, and then you look how Donald Trump reacts to, any type of affection, to be honest, but particularly with kids. And it's just like, that's two totally different people. This is not somebody who's like affectionate towards kids and gives a shit. Like, he's very awkward with them. You can tell he does not like them. And then when they're not white, I don't think he likes them very much either. And the handshake was even weird. The handshake was like, I know I'm being petty here, but like the handshake was just like he grabbed his hand like this. And what it looked like is, I've studied body language before, and you know how when they say, like, if somebody shakes your hand, it's straight on straight, like they view you as equals. But if they try to put their hand over top of yours when they're shaking your hand, it's they trying to dominate you. And that's why, a lot of people will turn your hand and shake it up. So it's your way of telling them, no, you're not going to dominate me. So it's just kind of, he puts his hand out like to try to put it on top of him. And the dude grabs it like he's shaking it, like you're meeting the queen or something.
Nice to see him. Nice to see. That was a big
Oh, he
thing.
put a hand on top of his, so he got him. So,
It's just like,
there.
okay.
But I will say this, though, Ryan. We know that Trump's not good with kids. He doesn't
No.
hug his own kids. And matter of fact, he wants to fuck one of them. So, I mean, I don't know. I just want that to live rent
Gonna
free
live
in your
rent free
head.
in my mind for the night
Because
at
it
least.
always with mine when he literally said he wants to fuck.
Wait,
him
he
up.
wanted to have relations with Don Jr.? I didn't know that.
Yes, that's the
Oh.
first one with the beard. Okay, cocaine holidays, baby. Let it snow.
If she wasn't my daughter, I would probably date her.
Yeah.
Yep, several videos
That's
of
a
him
very
saying
normal
that.
thing to say.
What do you guys have in common? Sex. What? When you say like, I just think to
They both
myself,
steal from China. They definitely have that in common.
they have a lot in common with that. And
Yeah.
you have to really.
They both have
wonder-
boobs. Sorry, I'm
both
getting
have boobs.
immature now.
They're
No, we love it.
They're both competing for that.
butch blondes. Okay, it's all coming together.
Ooh, there you go.
So when you're thinking about it though, I don't expect him to be good with kids, and his moral compass is not there. So I don't ever expect anything from him.
Yeah.
And I do expect him to use any child as a prop,
Yes.
any American for that as a prop. I'm waiting for him to show up with vets and have them at the signing of him literally canceling out all of the vets' fucking resources.
And they'll be there licking his
expect
boot.
that. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna find the 5 that are ready and dressed and willing, because that's what this has really kind of de-evolved into.
Yep.
This is what we're dealing with now.
Yep.
It is his core base that will continue to show up. Even at his funeral, they are going to be there with him.
Yep.
Let that sink in. They are never leaving him. Whoever these other people are who got suckered into voting for him, they got, as B said it, fuck around, find out.
Yep.
That's what this next 2 years are. If you make the same mistake come midterms, you only get what you get for the next 4 years.
Yep.
The reality is, pay attention. You know, when they keep trying to attack woke and wokeism, stay woke. I am never letting that go. Stay woke. Be alert. Be about your community. Pay attention to your neighbors. Pay attention to the injustice that's happening within your state, within your city, within your country. Pay attention. What injustice is happening in the world? Stay woke.
It's not a negative to care about your neighbors.
It is only meaning empathy. That's all it is.
Yep.
Simple.
All right, fellas, with that, I think we're going to wrap it up here. So before I let Brian go, again, thank you, brother, for coming on. I know you've had a very, very long day.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's been a long day.
But with that, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, where they can catch your shows.
Sure.
Give them your info.
I do a show Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's on the radio. It's called Pushing the Limits. The website is pushingthelimits.live. So pushingthelimits.live, you can sign up for my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. You can, check out my content on there. Of course, I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitch. I'm everywhere else. But yeah, it's Monday through Friday, a live show. We take a lot of calls, probably an hour to an hour and a half of calls all over the country and the world every day. A lot of calls from Canada and the UK recently. So yeah, the best place to learn about me is pushingthelimits.live. And appreciate you guys. And Ryan, I've been following you on social media for a very long time.
Yeah,
so I'm
man.
glad we linked up, and I always appreciate it when you do my show, and appreciate the invitation to do your show today.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely keep this going. This is we're all gonna have to stick together in this fight.
I'll have more energy next time, I promise.
No, dude, you did fine, man.
Thanks for showing up. That's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure. Seriously. So
Yeah.
make sure you go check out his show. Like he said, he's had me on a couple times. It really is a good show. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and start our positives. So my positive for the week before we take off is I purchased a Rode Podcaster Pro 2. So if you're a podcaster geek or even maybe a music geek, you might know what that is, but it's a big old soundboard now that I'll have a mic hooked up to. But what it allows us to do is it allows us to take phone calls. So starting either next week or the week after, you are going to be able to call in and speak with us during the show.
That's key.
So we're looking forward to introducing that to the show. We look forward to talking to all of you and letting you guys actually get to talk with us and the guests. So yeah, definitely
Extra
look forward.
points to any Bart Simpsons out there that call with some Seymour butts. Let's see. let's see if we get any takers on that one.
But no, that's my positive. I got my taxes done, so I was hanging on to a bunch of money that I made this year because it was my first time making a good amount of money, and I got my taxes done, and they called and told me how much I owed, and I was like, that's it? I was like, so I can spend all this other money? And the guy's like, yeah, go ahead and spend it. So I bought a new podcaster that I can write off next year.
That's what's up.
But no, so what you got, brother? What's your positive?
You already got mine.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Fuck Trump, and thanks for my Bitcoin. That's it.
There you go.
My positive.
There you
That's
go.
all
That is the best positive out
I will
there.
say like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Eno
Yes.
and I are ready to go to bed. B, I know you too. You're ready to go to
Telling you.
Oh yeah. No, I can't go to bed. I can take a power nap, and then I got to put the show together for.
Yeah,
the
he's
morning.
got to keep working.
Yeah.
So
You better-
that's
you
why
better-
we're gonna jump off so he can go to bed.
There it
But
is.
as
There it is.
always, much love.
But no,
keep fighting.
but welcome to the Wednesday shows, guys. That's the number one thing.
Yes.
This is our new night. Welcome to the show. Same show, same time, different day. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.
Yep, and enjoy daylight savings. We don't do that here, but we will now have a 3-hour difference between us, Ian. So, not looking forward to that. But outside of that, I'll leave you as I always do with much love. Keep fighting, but most importantly, make sure you all stay safe out there.
Kick that outro.